Prashant, thank you so much for being here. It's absolute pleasure and joy. Thank you so much for making time. Like I shared, the whole idea of this podcast is to share, learn, and grow together. We're blessed to have our community, and I think in this age and time, it is that safe space where people can share, learn, and grow. So thank you for making time. How do you feel?
I feel really honored, and the pleasure really, Shashank, is all mine to be here with you today. So thank
No,
you.
it's ours. I think we're all blessed. So Prashant, I know you. You're a thorough gentleman, a lifetime hospitality professional, an even better human being at that. But for the rest of us in the world, can you tell us what do you do for a living?
I must say, it takes one to know one. So thank you for that compliment. But right back at you, Shashank. I am a hotelier for the last 26 years. Worked in 4 different continents. And now I work for a company called Accor Hotels. They're about 5,600 hotels. And I manage the subscription based loyalty arm for India, Malaysia, and the new markets for this program. So that's what I do for a living.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start off the first segment. How did you get into hospitality? How has life been in hospitality?
So my dad is an IIT engineer, right? On mom's side, everybody was a doctor. So I'm an accidental hotelier. I became a hotelier because I didn't get through engineering or medical.
Yeah.
So I had PCMB, and I studied here in Delhi actually. I went to school at Air Force Balbharti, and physics, chemistry, maths, biology, had it all. Didn't get through AIMS, didn't get through Roorkee, didn't get through IIT, BITS Pilani, none of that. And but got through all hotel management entrances, Manipal and IHM, which is the joint entrance exam, and the Taj group. So got through all of them. So thought maybe that is my calling, and that's how that journey started. I went to Bangalore, did my undergrad in hotel management.
Awesome. So I think I remember the time I studied in, I had my 12th in Chennai.
Mm.
And if you at that time, from my entire family and the kind of engineering world, physics, chemistry, mathematics, if you didn't do engineering and do an MS in US, you would get condolences from your relatives because your son or your daughter was good for nothing. I think my sister and I probably are the only ones who probably did not pursue that path. And I think God has better plans always. So awesome.
You're right. You know what? One of my uncles, when I went to Bangalore to do my IHM, hotel management, he said to my mom that if you want to make him a cook, like, why do you need to send him to Bangalore?
That was below the belt.
Yes.
Awesome. So how did your career start? How did it all happen? So you got through entrances and then you
So, Bangalore was my undergrad in hotel management. This is a 3-year program run by the government of India. After that, I wanted to do something more. I wanted to get to the Oberoi School of Hospitality. Wanted to join the Taj School of Hospitality, so do my masters. But none of them took me again, so I failed there as well. And I got a part scholarship to go to Switzerland at that time. So I did my post graduation in Switzerland.
And which place was this?
So it's a place called Caen, which is a train ride up from Montreux. And the closest city is Geneva, really. So from Geneva to Montreux, and then the Montreux Lake, where you can look across the Mont Blanc mountains.
Beautiful.
So it was really gorgeous. It's my first exposure to skiing and all of that, and my first time traveling abroad. Right, so was to Switzerland to my post graduation. Very grateful to my mom actually, because she sold a piece of her land in Kerala to fund that education
Wow.
for me.
Wow.
So very grateful still.
Awesome. And then?
So then I was working in a place called Davos, where the World Economic
Correct.
Forum is held.
Yeah.
I was a station waiter there. That was my first job. So a station waiter in hotel parlance is somebody who manages a group of tables.
Right.
Right. So in a Chinese restaurant, and it was a German part of Switzerland, right?
Right.
So I had a choice of either picking up Mandarin or German.
German.
And German sounded a bit easier, brother, Bruder, Vater, right? So things like that.
Danke.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, let's do German. And I picked up German while working at that job. And I also would ski up in Davos.
Wow.
So that was a really, really fun journey. Right after, and that's part of my training in Switzerland when I was doing my postgrad. Right after that, I got campus recruited to the States in 1999. And I landed up in Denver, Colorado.
And which hotel, if we may ask?
Sure. I can never forget that hotel. It's one of my favorite hotels, even till date, really. It's called the Brown Palace Hotel and Spa. It's a autograph collection by Marriott today. And every president of the United States actually has stayed with us there.
Nice.
While I was there for 7 years, I got to serve two of the presidents personally as well. I
Wow.
was FBI cleared to do that. So, again, very, very blessed that I got that journey. So I started as a motor lobby manager. This is a BBM podcast, or talkies, as you say. And I had 17 valet drivers, and I was running a 300,000 business of valet parking. That's my first job at the Brown Palace Hotel and Spa.
So cool. So for us in hospitality, we think it's just the F&B or probably lodging or the property itself. But you have dedicated professionals even for managing valets, and that's something which we so often easily overlook, because probably the first thing you see in a hotel, you see a valet, you see the lobby manager. Absolutely. Oh, brilliant. So
You're right. Even when I joined the industry, right? So I was interested in food and beverage. So we largely have food and beverage rooms division, and then we have the other businesses like finance and sales and marketing and ops overall. But running a hotel, Shashank, is like running a small city, right?
yeah,
Because unlike an airline, you're not managing somebody's 3 feet space. You're managing what they eat, how they breathe, how they go to bed, when they wake up, when they shower. So all of that. So my journey in hospitality has been a phenomenal learning experience. And I got paid to do all of this, right? So,
excellent. So we're going to just retrace step by step, because Prashant, the idea is also for our viewers, if there's somebody who wants to pick up a career in hospitality today, how do you go about it? The first question is it worth it? Because a lot of it is nice and shiny in the front, but I'm sure there's a lot of blood and sweat that goes on behind the scene to make a hotel look seamless and beautiful. So if there is a youngster out there, if they want to pursue a career, for instance, there could be 5-6 streams in hospitality. We just learned one of them today. If you could just trace your career step by step with this context, I think it'll be really helpful for everybody to just learn how this industry works.
So to the first part of your question, the industry is blessed. And the reason I say that is because demand for this industry, travel, has been growing about 8 to 10% globally. And supply is lagging behind about 5 to 6%. So that tells you that people are traveling, and they will continue to travel. And I think in that sense, it's a blessed industry. Right? Very few industries can do that. 10% of the world's population is employed by the travel and tourism industry.
Wow.
So I personally adore this industry. And I can't emphasize more about the learnings that I've had in this industry. For somebody who's starting off in this industry, you've got to have passion for being of service, maybe. You should want to interact with human beings and enjoy that. Right? So it's definitely for somebody who's got that personality, who wants to meet new people, travel to countries. I'm a great example of that. Let me just trace you back from the Brown Palace, really, right? So I did 7 years there, started as the motor lobby manager, ended up as the director of operations at that hotel, then moved to Los Angeles. And I was a director of ops there as well for working for Blackstone. They had a group of hotels called LXR, still exists, the London, LA. Spent about a year and a half there, and then moved back to India. Spent a good 7 years.
So you were running the hotel there?
I was the number 2 of the hotel at the London, LA. And Bruce Willis and Katie and Tom and Katie were always at the bar. Paris Hilton would get a haircut at that hotel. Again, you talked about the shiny bit, the glamour bit. It's there, right? But it's like watching a sunrise, right? It's beautiful, but you have to get up to the top of the hill, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's glamorous at a certain level, but there's a lot of grunt work behind it. So it's not an easy journey, right? So it's great to talk about Tom and Katie and Bruce Willis and Paris Hilton, but also realize that I've had 3 suicides that I've dealt with, right? Massive media issues, all those kinds of things that happen in a hotel. There's heart attacks that happen in a hotel. People find it the place to commit suicide and end their lives, right? Those
You've
kinds
had
of
a
things.
few
I've
there?
had a few. Yeah, I've had a few across the world, right? So again, just from LA back to India, 6 years here. I was with Accor's first hotel here in India. Today they have about 70 hotels. So I was working in Accor's first hotel, and today they have
Which
70
was the Ibis?
no, which was the Novotel in Hyderabad. Novotel at
Correct.
Hyderabad.
In the airport.
Yeah, the
It was a
International
massive
Convention
property.
Center.
Yes.
Massive,
Yeah,
massive property, right?
Ahmedabad.
It was at those times, 2007, known as the 7-star hotel of Hyderabad,
Yeah.
right? So in high-tech city.
Somebody and you got married there, and I was simply blown because I had gone for the wedding.
Okay.
And it was epic. It was huge. I think.
I must
One of the
share
biggest.
one of these anecdotal things that I realized, right? When I moved to LA, I thought of India of this, third world country, because I left India for some 15 years ago, right? It's changed so much now. But I'm in this third large, a tier 2 city, essentially, I think third or fourth largest city in India. And in the third week of me being there, we launched the Bentleys, right? So we had the Hyderabad International Convention Center, and we hung Bentleys from the roof, right? Because we had those points there at the convention center. And it was a 4-day show, I remember. On the first day, we sold all of them.
Wow.
And we had to lease one of those Bentleys back from the owner so that we could keep the show running for the 4 days, right? So it's an awakening, really.
No, absolutely. I think India has been a shiny beacon of progress and growth. It has been, and it will continue to be. I think our biggest boon and the bane is our population. I think, but we'll get there. But back to hospitality now. So if I were to start, so from there was Hyderabad, and from Hyderabad,
from Hyderabad, Sashank, I moved to Gurgaon, where I opened my first hotel as a general manager. So general manager really runs the business unit, right? He owns he's
owns the
responsible. He's the person who is responsible for the entire hotel, right? A 300 crore asset or a 1,000 crore asset, however big that may be. So the Ibis Gurgaon was the first hotel that I opened. Then I went to Ibis Delhi Airport, was a pre-opening general manager for that one. Also helped open Ibis Mumbai Airport. And then my boss then, Jean-Michel Cassé, sent me to New Zealand, and I opened Novotel Auckland Airport. Right.
So how did you get into that? I mean, does it after a point, like in all our careers, we do one or two things right, and that eventually becomes your brand, your identity? Like Hollywood actors or Bollywood actors are typecast. Is it that you are an expert now in opening airport hotels? Because you already listed out 4.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit of a luck by chance, really. There was a lot of openings at that time in India, right? I was in Accor's first hotel, so every other hotel would be a pre-opening, right?
Correct.
So ended up I had to pre-open a hotel. It just so happened they were opening at the airport because of the land banks that they had, right?
Interesting.
So
Yes.
and New Zealand was because I actually remember that conversation with my boss. Then I said, I'm really getting bored. I've opened 3 of these Ibis hotels for you. What do I do next, right? And he said, well, this was a massive earthquake in New Zealand at that time, Christchurch, if you might remember, around 2011. And he said, why don't you go to New Zealand and help them out? And I said, well, okay, let me do that. So that was a 6 months secondment from Accor India to Accor New Zealand. And I helped open that Novotel Auckland Airport. It was a fantastic.
Because you were there.
Yes,
eventually.
Yes.
So I think the message, essentially, if I'm trying to bring it out, is go with the flow. Of course, you need to know the broader bearings of how you want to get to the next level or what you want to do. Also, don't have strong preconceived notions. You went there to assist on an earthquake, and you went there on a secondment. Eventually became the reason why you got to hem the project and then deliver something interesting. So fair to say?
Bingo. Right on. Be agile, right?
Yeah.
So, sometimes what's really served me in my career is ready, fire, aim, as opposed to ready, aim, fire, right? And
Interesting.
Because there's so many things that are moving, and it's actually more true today, Sashank, than it's been in the past, right? Because things are moving at such a fast pace, right? So you got to kind of keep rolling.
Yeah. So now you moved from New Zealand, then you back to India, and you moved to Accor Loyalty.
Yeah. So in between, there was another journey, and the important part of all of that is hopefully you get that how varied this industry is. It allows you to work in different parts of the world. So I came back here and I left Accor actually. I was a GM with Marriott for a year in Ahmedabad. And then from there, I started my own business. So I moved to Dubai to set up a hotel company.
Wow.
Right. I learned in California that one should learn fast, fail fast, and move fast. And that's what I did. So that was a failure, needless to say, my own business in Dubai. And then I moved back to India. And that's when I joined this loyalty piece.
But you found your wife there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I met Nivida there. So it was a huge success, right? So that's how when you roll with the punches, right? So it kind of all works out just as well.
Excellent. Brilliant. So Accor loyalty now, and what is it that you do? How do you manage? And then we'll get back to the question of if a youngster wants to pursue hospitality, how do we approach it? So quickly on your briefly of whatever you can share, your current
my current role. So sure. So my current role entails three aspects largely, right? One is to sell the subscription-based loyalty program in three markets: India, or South Asia, and then Malaysia, which we manage out of India, and new markets. So as we expand this loyalty, subscription-based loyalty program across the world, I'm in charge of taking that. So that's one part of my job. The other part of my job is to make sure that I manage the global capability center for Accor Plus, this loyalty business that I run. So we have 4 offices in India: Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Gurgaon. In Gurgaon, we do the finance work, all of customer service, English-speaking customer service, data, level 1 and 2 support, IT, digital marketing, all those kinds of stuff are done out of the office in Gurgaon. So I'm responsible of supporting the larger business. So really largely those three things. So selling into existing markets, new markets, and the GCC.
Now back to the first question, which I said, I mean, if I was a young professional in hospitality and I wanted to pick up a career, how do I approach it? What are the possible departments, avenues in this industry? And if you could just throw some light on it. For instance, maybe operations, front office, banquet, F&B, lodging, architecture. Is that
so
is that comprehensive, or are there more?
So as I said, a hotel is a small city by itself, right? So if you look at development of a hotel, so there's feasibility studies, right? You look at where the market will go. So you got a lot of research around that. Then and then comes the actual building of the hotel. So there's technical services. You got to marry that with what a brand standard is, right? So for example, a Novotel room is 26 square meters, an Ibis room is 18 square meters, so on and so forth, right? So you've got every brand has its own standards. You've got to kind of comply with that. And then you staff the hotel, right? How many team members do you need for a hotel which is 300 rooms, for example? That depends on the kind of hotel you're building. For somebody who's starting off, I think it's really important to understand what their passion is. Is their passion in culinary? Are they interested in being creative and being in the kitchen and doing that, or maybe enjoying serving people in the food and beverage area or in the rooms area? So largely, those are the two big departments: food and beverage and rooms. Now, rooms includes front office, like you said, and also housekeeping. But that's not to exclude things like engineering. There's revenue management. There's reservations. There's sales and marketing. There's all kinds of, hotel, you do all of those things.
Interesting. Very nice. So I could probably pick up basically if I like cooking. Is it that I get an option, or I can pass out and are you given a choice when you start off?
Yes, absolutely. So you get to specialize in the third year and even in your training where you want to go.
And as I pursue, for instance, in my employment or most regular jobs, we can switch within a particular domain, right? So I can move from, say, marketing to sales to a product or whatever, right? You may not probably get into a hardcore domain expertise, which is like IT or coding, etc. But is that the same even in hospitality? So can I be a front office manager and then probably move to something adjacent or is it counterproductive?
So my life story will tell you that, right? So I was a server in Switzerland. So I was a waiter in Switzerland, in Davos at Hotel Airo. And then in Denver, my first role as a manager in development was a housekeeping supervisor. So if somebody call off work, I would end up cleaning 14 rooms for the day, and then move to motor lobby, then to front office, right? So start on F&B, and this industry allows you to do that. I have so many friends and colleagues who were chefs in the kitchen are today general managers. Sashank.
Brilliant.
So it allows you to kind of traverse that whole
And is it
place.
true? We've heard horror stories that a fresher or an intern fresh out into a large hotel is probably asked to chop some 1,000 onions a day.
More true during my times, maybe. Yes, I remember. I won't name the hotel I was at, but yes, I was asked to chop a gunny sack full of onions on the first day of my and but you know what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, though, right? So I think it was really important for me to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
So because somebody's got to do it, right? I mean, today we have machines to do all those kinds of things, but in 1996 we needed that, and it needs to be done. There is behind everything that looks really gorgeous or a food that tastes really good, somebody's got to do misa to get the food there, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that. So I'm grateful for that journey. Yes, it's tough, but you know,
I think in every industry, when you start off, it is tough. It's never easy. I think you go about building your career over the first 5 to 7 years. It's just the phase where you absorb a lot of investment, you slog it out. I think that's when middle management happens, and then I think you start settling down in roles, and
it's allowing those situations to teach you, really. I think that's the lesson, really, in all of that, right?
yeah. So essentially, I start off. I can be F&B. I can be in
Rooms,
and eventually I can go to operations. I
general
can
manager,
go be, I can sell banquet space. I can do tie-ups with corporations, and then
you can
fill
do
out
sales
my
and
room.
marketing.
That's
Absolutely.
sales and marketing. Uh, but tell me, how have hotels evolved today? Do you see a massive change in the last 2 decades? Because we see each property becoming a lot more independent. I could be a part of a large chain, but I think the GM plays a significant role. I remember for a fact there was a hotel of a particular group, and fairly uniform experience, but one particular property I go to in Goa is just outstanding. I mean, the GM would know that this is a regular guest, he's been here before, and there'll be a welcome back card, not a welcome card, there'll be a welcome back card, handwritten. There'll be amenities. If I had our girls were very young, and the younger one was barely 2 years old or 1 year old, and then whatever amenities required, it was there in the room ready because they knew this is what it is. So I think the GMs do play a role, but is there enough flexibility for a GM to operate at a significantly higher level? If I say a particular group is operating at an X standard and I want to just take it notches above, is that flexibility there? Can I do this as a GM?
It's a great question, but I've got to break that question in a couple of parts, right? So first question is that I'll answer your last question first. So there's flexibility, absolutely, and the reason that is there is because customers of today demand that. Your first question was how has hospitality evolved, right? So largely innkeeping is a 250-year-old business, right? And what's changed in that business is technology in how we serve customers, how we reach them, the entire customer journey, post, pre, and while they are there. But a room is a room is a room,
Yeah.
right? But you mentioned service, right? And I think that's such an integral part of this business, really, making sure how someone feels. Because human beings remember how they're made to feel, which is why even today you remember your experience in Goa and the welcome back, right? So it's an opportunity for human beings uh, to make human beings feel like they matter, they're cared for, right? So I think the GM plays a massive role in that.
And there is flexibility.
Absolutely.
Because in general, we noticed that the service levels probably west to east only get better. So
A lot
US,
to do
God
with
knows,
you
not
know,
much, and Europe maybe a little, but Middle East is brilliant. India is fantastic. Southeast Asia is brilliant. What could be the reason? Is it societal in general, or
It's to do with a few things. One is the culture, right? So human beings expect what they get at home. So, I mean, fortunately, people like you and me have some help at our homes, how we live. So when we go to a hotel, we expect the same level of service. Right? So you got to tailor make human beings service based on what they are used to. So markets are different. Dubai is very different from Denver, very different from Damascus, and so on and so forth. Therefore, you got to kind of tailor make that.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm an existing professional now, what is your advice basis your experience? I think largely pay scale item is pretty much out there broadly for industry, and I think if you could touch upon that. But importantly, how do I grow? Do I take lateral moves? How do I navigate until I get to a GM, which is probably the highest, and then beyond? So, but
Yes. So I'll come back to something that I said earlier, Shashank, about passion, right? So you got to find your passion. So let's say your passion is in the culinary field. Right? So you start as a Commie 2, move up to Commie 1, become a sous chef, a demi sous chef, a sous chef, then an executive chef, and move through that. I have colleagues of mine who actually traverse that journey, become master pastry chefs, and be very content in that journey. And some of them have actually become general managers from that journey. Right? This is a very cross-functional industry, so you've got to use that to your benefit. Right? So if you want to become a general manager or move into the corporate office of a hotel, it's really, really important that you go make lateral moves. You learn different functions.
So pick up adjacencies and move.
Yes, exactly. So the movement is not always vertical. Sometimes it's lateral, right?
Correct.
And that's really important in this industry because there are so many different aspects to this industry. For me, I mean, the mantra, if you will, for success, there are three things one's got to do to be successful, right? So obviously, what's given is that you got to get really good at what you do, right? Focus. You got to work hard, understand what you're doing really well. So if you're a culinary chef, you got to be really good at what you do, right? If you're good at front office, you got to be really good at front office, right? But given that's done and you've really worked hard at that, it's important that you are able to get stakeholder buy-in, right? So you get your bosses. You got a great idea. If your boss doesn't approve, it's not a good idea. So get that. It's really, really important that you get stakeholder buy-in. Second, you should be able to show people, whoever you're working with, the VIFM. So what's in it for them if they were to do this, right? If you get promoted, what's in it for them? What can you make their job easy? How can you make their job easy, right? So that's important. And the third, often neglected, is being visible, right? So you've got to be visible at crossroads. So you've got to network. You've got to be at those parties, shaking hands, understanding. If you're not visible, you're out of sight, out of mind. So that's a really, really important piece in this industry.
Increasingly, I feel, I think as you grow up in life, as you grow in life, competition does intensify. I think India is eventually extremely competitive place to make a good living.
Yeah.
And that's probably down to our number of people. You have somebody ready to replace you at half your cost. So I agree. I think networking is critical. It's often abused as a word, as a concept, as a theme. But I think I've been a beneficiary in my life in general of some great networking moments, people who mentor you, support you. Does that work the same in hotels, that it makes your life easier? Do you have a mentor, Prashanth? Did you have one? And how did you go through that journey?
That works more so in hotels because it's a people industry, right? You're constantly surrounded by clients, customers, owners, your colleagues. You're working with systems, but you're working with systems for people. So therefore, that works absolutely really well, and it's important that you continue to network at all levels. Right. So
one up, skip, lateral skip,
down,
all peers, everyone. Excellent.
360.
So you have an illustrious career. I'm sure you have 100 more years at it. A lot of times people feel it can be detrimental if you fail. and I think it's okay to fail. You've just shared your Dubai experience.
Mm.
But as a GM, as a manager, as a colleague in a large hotel, have you failed? Do you have any incident where you've felt, oh God, I really did screw up?
When I took over the general manager role, my first GM role, I was all of 29 years old at the Ibis in Gurgaon. And CSAT, so we measure customer satisfaction in hotels. And our breakfast CSAT was trailing below 60%, 58%, if I remember it correctly. And that was a massive failure, right? Here's a hotelier who's worked globally, worked as in F&B and across the world, and then I'm running this hotel with a terrible CSAT in breakfast. So I took that failure very personally, and I wanted to make a difference. I had great teams at that time. I remember the executive chef was from Taj, and my F&B director was from Oberoi's, right? So there was no reason why we were failing. But I learned something very interesting because I took that personal failure so personally, Shashank, was that often customer service is in the selling.
Yeah.
Right. I'll give you a small instance. Yeah. So we had make your own omelette. You could do anything with your eggs how you wanted them. We had the station and typical. You could put your cheese and you have your peppers and everything. You want a masala omelette. You want a cheese omelette, plain omelette, whatever you wanted. Egg white omelette. What we did was we said we will do only two kinds of omelettes: an egg white omelette and a masala omelette, and that's all we'll do. And we'll serve it on your table. Right? You've got to just pick the two. And I told my executive chef and my F&B director at that time that, you know what, if our customer wants something slightly different, say, let me check with the chef. And the chef should say, yes, we'll do it. This small change, Shashank, our CSAT went from 58% to 83%. Yeah, so.
But was it difficult? For instance, I stayed once at the Ibis and I found the rooms extremely small.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big departure from traditional hotels, and we as Indians have seen and traveled in. I think Ibis was probably one of the first super small hotel. Did that be an issue ever? Did you get complaints?
Yes, a lot. And it was very difficult for me first, right? Because the time when I opened that hotel in 2008, India had hotels with fountains in the lobby,
correct,
the Taj and the Oberoi's,
yes,
or they had guest houses with roaches in them in Paharganj, right? There was not a happy medium, right? So neither did I have any customers, neither did I have any team members. So nobody wanted to work for Ibis. Forget about going at a customer.
Yeah.
Right. So it was very, very tough. So I had to own that brand. I became Ibis India at that time, right? So I said it's about being friendly. You can have fun. We'll do 80% of the things that you use in a hotel. We'll do that really well, which is a great bed, great breakfast, great bath.
So there's also a lot of times in a lot of industries we follow Pareto, right?
Yeah.
So that's fix top 3 problems, 80% of the problems are solved. So yeah.
Yeah, Pareto's laws.
And I think today it is accepted. Today it's acceptable to have a clean bed room, because if I have to be up and about through the day,
Yeah.
I'd rather take an Ibis, save money and splurge on things otherwise. So that's also an approach, which is brilliant now. Any other instance where which really dented your confidence? This, of course, you were in a position, you had the experience to back, so you could fight back and come back. Maybe younger? Any instance abroad or wherever?
Yeah, sure. So my first experience, my first job was in Denver, right? At the Brown Palace Hotel and Spa. And I remember I was just promoted to the assistant front office manager. So I was in charge of some 18 front desk teams, reservations and operators and all that. And I was getting a mouthful from one of our customers because the hotel was full and we had a bathroom leak. Typical in hotels, right? So, and we couldn't move him anywhere because there was no other room available. And it was his anniversary. So he was really, really upset. This is an African American gentleman. He just was dishing it out to me. And I was, being empathetic, trying to do what I can, was on the phone with the engineering department, housekeeping, trying to get things fixed up. 5 minutes into that conversation, he said to me, I want to speak to somebody who speaks English. That really hurt, Shashank. Really hurt, right? Because I was trying very, very hard. Anyways, what happened was I sent Lisa out. She was one of my front desk assistants, and she went out and handled the gentleman. But that taught me that it's really important for a customer to feel gotten.
Yeah.
And I'd failed in that instant. Right. So even though I was the manager, I failed.
It's okay as long as we learn
Yes.
lessons and don't do that again.
Yeah, I got some of those nuances right, and then
Awesome. Now, through to the even more exciting topic, which is our favorite. What is your leadership style, and how has biking influenced it? And then we'll segue completely into biking.
Okay. So I've never not
Biking is motorbikes.
Yes. So I've never not owned a motorcycle ever since I was 18 years old. Right. So it's always been part of me, if you will, in different parts of the world that I went through. Leadership. My leadership style has grown, has changed. The one big thing I've learned is that I don't have a set leadership style. It depends. If you're opening a hotel, if you're pre-opening a hotel, for example, there are no guests, right? So your leadership style is completely different. You got a process in place. You got to put systems in place.
It can get autocratic.
Absolutely.
It can get dictatorial at points.
Because you got to get certain things done at a certain time, right? You got a deadline to meet. And then when the hotel opens, then you have customers. And now you've got to be benevolent. You got to get the customer. You got to get your team members who are serving those customers, because you're not going to meet 10,000 people every day. But your teams are meeting through banquets, through F&B, through the front desk, on the phone.
I think that's a great point, right? And I completely believe, because a lot of times people tend to fall into the trap when they are asked, what is your leadership style? And like you shared, right? You can't have one fixed style. And I think my go-to answer is always look at situational. There is in fact a module out there somewhere which is called situational leadership. So it has to be oscillating between collaborative, submissive, supportive, authoritative. So I think you need to pick those roles up, and I think leadership is purely situational. What works for me is essentially defining what the goal is, and you simply align the teams, and then once it's fixed, let's not rethink it, period. So if we have to do a strategy, for instance, for BBM for this year, we fix the calendar, it's done. Even you or I can't change it, right? And that's exactly how we go about it. And that really cuts off the noise. So once we've all aligned, sat together, we may have disagreements like you just shared, but then you align people, get done with it, and let's not think it again. So long-term strategies are not thought through every day. You fix a time window, 6 months or a year, and then think through it. But then you put your head down and deliver once the target is set. So I think that's perfect. So how did biking start?
My first exposure to a bike, actually, it's pretty funny. I was in Bangalore with doing my undergrad in hotel management, and I went to Kerala. I'm from Kerala. I was born and raised in Delhi, but was from Kerala. My uncle had a Yezdi there, and so to commute from my hostel to college, I asked him if I could borrow his Yezdi. Right? Money was scarce at that time, and so I rode the Yezdi down to Bangalore from Wayanad. It's a beautiful ride through Bandipur and everything like that, and I fell in love with it, honestly. What was more exciting about the Yezdi was that I would start it on 10 rupees of petrol, and that's all I had at that time. And after that, I could top it up with kerosene. And once it started, it would just keep running. So
you actually did that?
Yes.
So my story has been, my dad had a Kawasaki Bajaj, and it was probably one of the earliest claimants to 1 liter 100 kmpl figure, if you remember.
Yeah.
So my mom would give me $100 a day, and obviously we had 100 things to do. So it was essentially, I think a liter of petrol was probably 30 rupees. I had to pick up that 30 or 50 for that matter. I would put petrol for about 15 to 20 rupees. And that would actually work for the whole day.
Wow.
Right? So I've done that too, but not kerosene. Yeah, try putting that in your Panigales or Monsters, no? That's unbelievable. I think
it's a 2-stroke engine those days, right? So I'll just take you through my bike journey as well, right? So Yezdi was the first bike I got on 2 wheels with, right? Thanks to my uncle. And then I had an RX 135 two-stroke engine. Again, love that bike
Brilliant.
to death, right? So,
Brilliant machine.
uh,
So that also had you could press the clutch and kickstart.
yeah, correct, yeah.
So stop making all this, man. Sad. Yeah.
Then yes, so then it became 4 strokes, right? So moved to the States. I had a Gixxer in Denver. I remember going to the hotel once and it was snowing. And obviously bikes don't have snow tires, as you know, right? So one of the people on the stoplight told me, "Son, why don't you park that thing on the sidewalk and I'll drop you wherever you need to go." Right? It's something that sticks with me. So I had a Gixxer there. Then I moved to Los Angeles and I had a BMW K75. Then back to India, I had a city bike, a Royal Enfield 535, which has got the gears on the opposite side.
Ah.
So I've always modified my bikes and did things to it because I want to make it my own. Then in New Zealand, I rented a Ducati. So that's when I first had my Ducati run-in, if you will. It was a multi-strada. I took a month sabbatical after my 6 months secondment and rode around the South Island. It's fantastic. And then coming back to Dubai, I had a Honda Shadow. And now I ride Delilah. That is my Ducati Monster 795.
Without the ABS.
Yes, absolutely, without the ABS. It's also where Nivi and I went for our first date on that bike, right? So it's super special to us. So
Yeah.
so that's what I ride now.
I remember on our, I know it's a interesting topic, but let me still get there.
Yeah.
I remember Leh, and we were all there. We were riding together. And I remember somewhere, I think before Khardungla or after Khardungla, the road straightened up a bit, and then you were in that Zen zone. You would just get up on the bike, and I was like on the intercom. We were all together, and I would tell others what's wrong with this guy, and I think you would also shut your intercom off, and you were like the Christ, the Redeemer, standing on the bike on autopilot and enjoying the scenery. And I was freaking out and what's wrong with this guy? Why is he being so unsafe? But of course, it was brief, but you did a few. You really enjoyed that, didn't you?
You know, that's when I first met you, Sashank.
Yeah.
So I don't have as much of a vivid recollection of that moment because that's when most moments which are blissful, they just kind of melt into you, right? Or disappear. You don't. So I was one with that moment. I know I've heard that from many of my friends. That what I did there. I should remind you of the time that we had when we were at Kargil.
Kargil. This was Dras to Kargil.
Yes.
This was, Kargil. Yeah, we had to go to Leh that night. And it was late. And obviously, we didn't want to ride at night. I remember. Oh, it was beautiful. The road was runway quality tarmac. Beautiful stream by the side and a nice big mountain. I have very, 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 very vivid, clear memory of that moment. It was brilliant, I think. Fantastic moment.
I remember us stopping
Yeah.
and looking at Tiger Hill.
Yeah.
And striking a conversation.
I don't know if that was Tiger Hill, by the way. we
made it up.
For the moment of it, we made it up. And I think what struck in Leh was how inconspicuous we as humans are in the scope of this cosmos. I think we are so full of ourselves, and I went into Leh feeling extra special. We overrate ourselves, we exaggerate our importance in the presence on this earth. But I think when I went to Leh, you see the scale of the earth, you kind of experience it. It's very otherworldly. And at that moment, I felt super small and I felt blissful, grateful for everything. And when you and I were going together, it was like a nice little symphony. The road was beautiful. We were maintaining similar speed. We were very evenly balanced, evenly poised. And I think when we stopped at that moment, the stream, the nature, the sound, there was pin drop silence. All you could hear was nature. I was just in the moment. I was just brilliant.
You know, I've done Leh before as well. I did it in a 4-wheeler. So I had a Fortuner at that time and I took it there. was nothing like that experience, though, right? And you mentioned being one with nature and the insignificance and the significance of becoming insignificant. I think that's not lost on me, really.
Yeah.
Shashank. So it's,
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking about Leh.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Soker, right? So
Yeah.
what happened there? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened in Soker?
Yeah, I get this a lot from our group and our friends and members. Yeah. So I think, look, we had a great ride. It was brilliant. The ethos personally, and that's the founding ethos even for BBM. Today, all of us appreciate it and we understand it. And I picked this up from the movie Rush, which is Niki Lauda says this, that 25% risk and anything more is not acceptable. And I think our families let us do this. Make no bones about it. This is a passion with perils. There are risks, and even if somebody else makes a mistake, we as people on two wheels probably get to bear the brunt. So I think it's not covering for your own mistakes; it's also covering for others.
Yeah.
Is what is a bigger priority for two-wheeler riders, so to say. So for me, Leh Ladakh was brilliant. It was fantastic. Loved it. But by the time we reached Soker, I think we were riding into the nights, which was not acceptable to me. It is not a matter of skill or ability. It is just a matter of choice. I think our family trusts us, sends us there, and we are accountable to them too. So I wouldn't put myself in harm's way and cause inconvenience to anybody else. In fact, when I was going to Leh, my wife hates me for it because I, on WhatsApp, gave her all the detail. It was like a will. Everything on a message to her. And we reached Pangong and there was no network. And she freaks out. She's like, something is off, right? So I think that was it. And Soker was at least 50 kilometers. The road's much better now. Then there were no roads. They were building one. Full sand, no network, at least 2 hours away from the nearest medical center or first aid. Horrible accommodation, and we reached there at 10:15 at night. And that to me was simply unacceptable. So I left my bag that day, and I had a relationship with you as a warm brotherhood, camaraderie with a few people. I walked up to everybody and I said, "Pal, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. It's not okay with me." I had my trusted flatbed guy, Lakshman. I called him, "Pal, you got to pick this bike up. Not from Manali, but from Soker." There was no water, if you remember that night. I begged and pleaded the lady who was running the so-called accommodation of us. I wouldn't dare call it a hotel. And I paid her, I think, $500 to get a bucket of hot water. I was probably the only one who managed to have a shower that night. I paid about $4,000 to her husband. Said, pick the Santro up, drop me at Leh airport. I booked my flight that night, and I left at about after all of you slept. I walked up to your room and I said bye. I think Divakar was there, you were there.
Yeah.
And then I drove. This was, I think T-top. Through T-top, you get to Leh from Soker. So it was snowing on T-top. My driver was disoriented and he barely had any headlights on the Santro. I said, "Pal, let me drive. Move." And I drove. And this was probably 1 hour from the Leh airport. I started hallucinating because I also was I didn't sleep much the previous night, and it was very monotonous, dark roads. And I clearly remember there was a 50-70 foot giraffe on my left and a 50-70 foot elephant running, making big jumps with me, and I'm like slapping myself and said, "Wake up, Sashank, you got to get there." Luckily, a nice army safari pulled up and he had bright lights and he was belting it. All I did was just park it right behind him and just follow him blindly, and yeah, I reached. And after that, I think we've managed our community very well. We've always had a backup rider, a paramedic on call, a doctor on trip. We never ride at nights. We never ride in bad times. We are always a convoy. So I think a lot of that has come into existence because of our experiences.
Absolutely. Very, very profound. And I think it's been the genesis of BBM. That's safety, respect for our machines, respect for each other, respect for the people on the road, right? I think it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed that, Shashank.
So how has been your BBM journey otherwise? The power of community.
And, initially, biking was about speed and petrol, right? So just the smell of petrol, all that. But more and more, it's about the camaraderie. And I thank you, Shashank, for building what we've built so far, right? It's one for all and all for one. I think it's something that our group exhibits. We need never leave anybody behind. I remember we were going for this trip to, I think, Nainital, and I just got the bike serviced and got it ready. And just on the way, just I think maybe 50 meters from my house, there was some gravel, and I slipped and hurt myself and couldn't go for the trip. And then you and Ashish and everybody insisted, no, you have to come. And I was in the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And I wore a helmet so that I could be in touch with you guys, right?
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was funny. So we did this. So you were in the Hilux or the Isuzu. I think it was Isuzu, and you had your legs stretched out because you couldn't fold it, and you had a helmet, and you were talking on the intercom. It was crazy fun. Kapil did something like that on our trip to when we did a Euro trip 2-3 years ago. He is the mechanic, right? So he somehow managed to install the Senna in the Audi we had hired as a backup vehicle, and he was actually talking in the car without the helmet. So
wow,
next time, that was good. That was good learning. That was fun.
Yeah, so biking, I think, from a BBM community perspective, right? It's got all the ingredients that I've learned biking needs, right? We all wear gears all the time. Safety is a number one priority. We have the brotherhood, the camaraderie that you call it, right? You invest a lot in people's riding skills. I've been through a couple of off-road trainings with BBM, which have been really, really great. It's affected how I ride on the tarmac on every day to office as well. So, this is really great. I remember my 40th birthday, my wife gifted me a Ducati track day at the BIC. And that has improved my riding heaps.
I can't talk enough about, thank you for bringing that up, right? I can't talk enough about riding on the track. After I started riding on the track, that was thanks to our man Monty. So I went through multiple Ducatis, but yeah, when I got a 959 and I went to the track in a 959 or a V2, I think it was completely alien. It is like snorkeling or scuba diving. You're overwhelmed. You're an alien atmosphere. You're all over the place because there are no bearings, there are no obstacles, right? And the moment you start going fast there, your speed on the road simply comes down. What I learned is, you need to take care of your body because it is extremely demanding. It is less of excitement of driving fast or riding fast. It is more clinical. It's like flying an aeroplane. You need to understand the nuances of your bike. You need to heat your tires properly. If they're cold, they'll slip. So I think, and as we did that, I think on track, your sense of your level of attentiveness or your overall sense of awareness is so heightened. You exactly know what that quarter inch of your rear tire is doing. How is your brake behaving? How is your engine sounding? And at what angle do you get up? Are you fishtailing on a back straight when you're braking? So for me, it's been transformational in life. I've shed at least 15 kgs or 10 kgs since I started biking on the track because it is demanding, and obviously my paunch would come in the way. I couldn't bend properly. So I think it does make you a better human being. And like I said, I've had literally a kind of moment several times, every time, in fact, on the last session, last few laps, when you're in the zone, completely immersed. It's like you're watching yourself. It's like the soul is moved out and watching, Shashank go through the track. So I think for me, it is that level of meditative because you're in the depths of a particular thing.
When you said that, I got to that when we ride in a group now, I too feel like that, even in the group, because you're not alone. You are part of something larger. So, it's like this quasi, right? When a cell kind of comes together and then the tissue has a life of its own, it's called the quasi. And when we're riding as a group, as BBM, I feel like we are one unit.
Yeah.
Right? And I love the fact how much care is taken about each other. Nobody's left behind. There is always a lead. There's always a sweep. We highlight any dangers on the road, right? Responsible riding. I think those are things that I've come to enjoy and really cherish with this whole membership.
And I
It's
think
fantastic.
when we do that together, that's why it's like us. BBM is a bunch of us, right? It's bigger than you and me.
Yes. Thank you
The
for
moment you're in
creating
that, right? So
Mm.
please, it's us again, right? So together we are stronger. Alone we're probably insignificant and useless. So the beauty is it becomes bigger than us.
Mm.
And when I am sweeping most of the times, I get to see the whole group.
Mm.
It's like a symphony.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You look-
Absolutely.
and especially in clean roads on hills, you see the whole snake seamlessly slide in, slide out. It's brilliant experience, and I think together we feel stronger. As a result, we also have lesser incidents.
Hmm.
Touch wood, God's been kind. That's because, we bunch up together, and yeah, someone may be extremely skilled, somebody may be less, but then you bring the averages together, and it becomes a whole lot safer experience for everybody. So I think I truly enjoyed.
But I have to highlight this moment. You talk about riding as a group, right? And Ashish, right? So I would say he rides a Street Fighter today, a Ducati Street Fighter. And that's largely because of me. He might disagree.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree.
yeah. I'll tell you why. So we were on, I think it's about a couple years ago. It was one of those winter mornings, foggy, and we were on NH8. And you had said that we'd go slow today because there was some fog on the road, right? And at that time, Ashish was riding a Diavel. And Ashish said to me that, you want to trade bikes? And I said, sure, why not, right? So he was riding my Monster and I was riding his Diavel. We were going towards Jaipur and we took a U-turn.
Near Rewari.
Yeah, near Rewari. Yeah.
So there were two incidents, right?
Yes. So I'll tell you the first one first because you talked
The second
about
is a bigger one.
yes, ended up in a box. The first one, we took a U-turn near Rewari and we were coming back and I saw Ashish brake and he was on my bike and it fishtailed a tad bit because obviously no ABS, right? He's not used to that. So I just checked on him and I said, we were on the intercom on Sena together. And I said, Ashish, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Just tell me something. How do I know which gear I'm on? So I said to Ashish, you don't. That's how raw that bike is, really, right? So forget ABS, it doesn't even tell you which gear you're on.
No, some of our bikes, even today, let's not name it, don't even have a fuel indicator. It just goes to reserve, right? So it's funny, but it is what it is, yeah.
Well, a couple of minutes down that conversation, I said to Ashish that, your bike's nice, but I just feel like it doesn't have the punch, right? You got, like mine's faster, I think.
And we're talking about Monster,
yes,
and a Diavel.
Yeah.
And the Monster rider switches to Diavel, that's you. And you say the Diavel lacks punch.
Yeah,
this is nice.
Didn't go very well, right? It was a bit below the belt for Ashish. And he told me that you're not opening the throttle. It's not a problem with the machine. It's a problem with the rider. And rightfully so, Sashank. So I, as you would do, I opened the throttle a tad bit, right? And I thought of it like my own bike. And as I opened that, there were two potholes and I went right through them.
Wham, wham.
And both rims are gone. And that was the end of the Diavel.
And in came the Street Fighter.
Yes, absolutely.
But he's got a new Diavel, which you now know.
Yes. And I will not ride that one.
But you should. And I think you should request him for a test ride. Yeah. I did tell him. But I think he's skirting the topic. But awesome. Good. I think it's been brilliant, Prashanth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We wouldn't have had it any other way. You're such a great friend. You've been a founding member of our community, Bikes, Buddies, and more. It's a passion project for all of us. And I think we are super blessed to have such a lovely bunch of members. It's a lovely space, safe space for all of us where we share, learn, and grow. And I think one step at a time, life is becoming easier and better thanks to the community. And I think in this day and age, communities are a key. They continue to be. They will always be, and more than ever today. So I was listening to this interview of the joint MD of DLF Housing, and they obviously are literally on top of luxury homes in India, in Gurgaon. And they said they're building communities.
Wow.
And I think it's awesome, right? You're talking about a developer who's building dwelling units. Talk about that as a community, getting a specific set of people. With that, I'd like to thank you from all of us and BBM. Thank you for being around. Thank you for being a founding member. Thank you for your time, your pearls of wisdom on hospitality, and some fun stories on biking. It's been brilliant.
Thank you, Sashank. I've
Thank you,
really
Prashanth.
enjoyed this.
Thanks a lot. Loved it. But it's not done yet.
Okay.
So we have 2 more segments. We've all been inspired by Top Gear a little bit. But there is only one. But that's second. The next segment is, of course, Showcase of the Day. And this is sponsored by Ducati NSA. Our friends from Ducati NSA have been kind enough.
Wow.
And they're going to showcase a spectacular bike. So every episode, we pick one Showcase of the Day. You get to see it in flesh, in person. It's right here, parked indoors, exclusively for you. We'll be joined by Amit very soon in that secret space. Amit heads marketing for Ducati India. And he's a very dear friend. He's a fantastic human being. He's going to join us. But that's not over yet. So that segment. And the next is, of course, we will put a star in a super expensive bike. So we're going to take you to Budh International Circuit.
Wow.
Get you up close and personal to it. Get you trained, put you in that suit, and we're going to make you ride the showcase bike of the week.
Can't wait.
And we're going to time you too. So
Okay.
it's going to be a race. So I'm super excited. Are you?
I can't wait.
Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go.
Where are you taking me though? Going down to the basement?
No, it's right here.
Really?
BBM style.
Oh, like your living room?
Yes, something like that. Even better.
Wow.
Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So presenting the 2025 Panigale
B4S. Wow, that is gorgeous. Lovely.
So Amit, Prashanth, Amit is a dear friend, and he, by the way, also works for Ducati India and runs marketing for them in India. So,
Thank you for having me.
oh, pleasure, man. Thank you so much for being here.
How do you like the
Really
bike?
appreciate.
Just gorgeous. Drop dead gorgeous, really. Can you please tell us a little bit about the bike?
Yes, so this is the new 2025 Panigale V4S. This is the flagship superbike that Ducati produces. 214 bhp stock. But let me tell you, with this Akrapovic, which is under seat exhaust,
Okay.
you can bump up the power to 230 bhp plus. So the most powerful superbike in its segment and the fastest Ducati ever made.
You know whose bike is
Incredible.
this?
Sims, yeah?
Yes. So
It looks
a big thanks to
absolutely
Simi
gorgeous.
for
Thank
bringing
you,
us the
Sim.
bike. Sim, thanks, man. By the way, I rode this on the track at
Okay.
DIC,
Yeah.
and I can tell you it's just unbelievable. So my daily track ride machine is my SP,
Yeah.
and I've been avoiding the idea of riding this because then I had to change it. The biggest reason is, of course, the single side swing arm is now a dual swing arm.
Yeah.
It's no more single, and I'll have to change my product because all my Ducatis are single-sided swing arm. But I rode this on the track. I can tell you, Amit, it is brilliant.
Absolutely.
It feels at least 100 kgs lighter.
Yeah.
So I was iffy because it had road tires then, and I was like, okay, let me not lean too much. Let me not lean much. And the bike was inviting me to lean a little more, and I was leaning. I was like, it's a little taller than usual. The seat feels a little taller than my version.
Yeah.
But crack, it hit, and I was knees down, belting corners. It is so beautiful. The electronics are just mind blowing.
Wow.
I've not seen a better track bike in my life. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Incidentally, this is the first bike I have ever had a knee down on. Yeah, and I've been on the racetrack like thrice, and third time on the racetrack with this bike, first session, and within the first 5 minutes, turn 3, knee down at BIC. So much confidence inspiring, especially for a beginner like me. It was crazy.
I'll get that.
And first knee down is very special, you know.
Oh,
it's
yeah, of
like
course,
it's
yeah.
like tears in the eye moment, and it was crazy. So this is a really special bike, and you know, especially it feels like a 600 when you sit on it. you'll feel that this is a 600cc bike because it's so small. It's agile. It's very compact. It's very light. And when you just take it on the front, on the back straight of the BIC, and you let it loose, all hell breaks loose. you're seeing triple digits, and soon you're crossing 300, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you brake, and the brakes, it's got the Brembo high pure calipers.
Yes.
They've debuted on this motorcycle.
Oh, really?
Brembo has never made these calipers for any of the bikes. This is the first time they've made it for this Ducati, and the stopping power is it's crazy. It's mind-boggling. You have to experience it on the racetrack.
Can't wait.
And this bike's got very special bits. It's got these carbon fiber heel plates on both sides, I think. Yeah.
And this all comes from Ducati?
Yes, everything is Ducati. This Akrapovic exhaust full system. So they've removed the catcon. Yeah, and you drop like a couple of kilos, and obviously the bike becomes more powerful. So you remove a lot of dead weight, and the bike becomes more agile, more confidence inspiring. And it's also got this rear sets, so it just makes you tucked in. You tuck in a lot better.
Got it.
Obviously, these grips are aftermarket, but it's fine.
Do you wanna start her up?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
may not start her
I
up,
think,
but
Yeah,
at least
sounds-
let's give her an ignition.
yeah, absolutely.
We'll do it on the track, but we'll just switch it on right now for you.
Okay.
We can, right?
Okay.
We don't have to call fire department.
I don't think
Hopefully.
we should start. We should.
No, maybe we should be a little bit naughty and wake up the whole club.
Yeah. We still have to shoot many episodes. So that's the one. It's got a bigger dash now.
Yeah.
Much bigger, so much
Yeah.
more convenient.
Yeah.
And what I love
Very easy
is
to
there is a nice recess for your helmet. So when
You're ducking down.
and then there is enough space there.
Yeah.
So whereas my bike feels like this,
Yeah.
this is like this.
It's got a completely redesigned tank. So you hold it with your, obviously when you hold the bike with the thighs.
It provides nice support here.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant machine, yeah.
It's best experience on the racetrack. Everything about this is designed to just go fast. Do you remember when the bike was first launched and it was introduced and showcased on, when it broke cover on social media, people went nuts that why is there no single side swing arm? Oh, what has Ducati done? Legacy, this, that. And I was there when the bike was launched in Italy, when they showcased it for the first time to the media. And I was speaking to my colleagues from Italy and they were like, it's fine. We understand there are sentiments attached to the single-sided swing arm, but anything that helps us go faster, we will do it. It doesn't matter.
And it's also easier.
Yeah.
While you're going faster, it's so much more effortless. While
You
the
would
bike
know
is-
because you ride
I
a bike
know.
with a single-sided swing arm and then immediately
Yeah,
when you jump on this.
It is completely different.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's at least 40% easier to ride.
That bike is a beast.
Yeah.
Your V4 SP.
So you do this one is easier to ride.
And you have to wrestle it around a
Yeah,
little bit.
correct,
This
correct.
one is, like I said, for a beginner like me, third track day and I'm doing knee downs at
Brilliant.
Chang, it was crazy.
Incredible.
It was crazy.
So
These are carbon fibers, no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. These are
Cooling
carbon
ducts.
fiber cooling ducts. So the faster you go, it rushes in air and it cools down the calipers.
This one.
And obviously the Olin suspension, electronic
Yes.
suspension. Beautiful bike.
And the
What was your
underseat-
timing on this?
I didn't time it. Of course, I didn't want to push it because it was not mine. But yeah, I generally hover around 212, 213s around the BIC. If it was mine and I would have institutionalized it, then probably would have shaved off definitely a couple of seconds for sure. It felt a lot more agile, man. I think the Ducatis are anyway monsters on the straights, and BIC is a fast circuit. So you have a nice long back straight and a fairly long home straight. So there you get the best of the best bikes, and I can tell you, even if somebody's better than me, more experienced, the thrill of overtaking them on a back straight is fun. I mean, there'll be people who'll be doing 2.6s and 2.7s.
Yeah.
But my SP comes in, wow, it just roars past. You're like, it's like mine's bigger than your spikes, right? So it's a crazy feeling. It is brilliant.
Yeah.
Different thing that they'll time better, but you just fly by them.
Yeah.
With this, you can also lean faster.
Yes.
Agility is much better.
It's also fast in the corners.
So it will obviously shed time.
Yeah. You know, in Misano, the racetrack in Italy, Pecco Bagnaia and all the MotoGP riders, they train on this bike. And there's this race of champions that happens at World Ducati Week. And in race of champions, the fastest lap is just like 3 to 4 seconds slower than a MotoGP bike.
Really?
Yeah, at Misano, this bike is so close to a MotoGP bike. Because that's where it's derived from, right? The V4 engine, the chassis, the handling, the brakes.
It's like pinnacle of automobile evolution and engineering.
It's the closest thing to a MotoGP bike that you can buy.
On the street.
On the street or on the racetrack.
Right.
On the racetrack, across. That's a crazy machine.
So is he riding this bike
Yes.
at the racetrack?
Yes. He's been told.
Great, man.
So we'll get a nice
Christmas came
professional
early.
to train you, get you, do a revision for you, and then we'll put you on the brand new 2025 Panigale V4S, courtesy.
Thank you, Amit. Can't wait.
Absolutely.
Prashanth, brother, thank you so very much. So thank you for making it. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
The pleasure.
As a small token of our gratitude and appreciation, here we go.
Thank you.
Secret hamper.
Picture.
You're not supposed to reveal this to anybody what's in it. And
well kept
I'll
with
also request Amit, can you please
Hello.
be here? Thank you a lot, Amit. Thank you for making it.
thank
Really
you,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
This is for Prashanth.
Yeah, lovely. That's gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's have
Thank you for your passion.
nice pic.
Please let me know when he's doing it, so I'll also come.
Done.
It'll be fun.
Soon. We're just heading there now.
Okay.
Technically. No, we'll do it again. We're doing it. Yeah. We'll cut this. Super.
Awesome.
Anything else? You want to cover anything else?
No, I wish we could fire it up.
Yeah, we'll get this is DLF.
Ask them, na? Maybe if they.
Or just start it and stop it.
It'll be nice because everyone, when you see a bike like this, everyone wants to hear what it sounds like.
Let me just ask him.
Yeah, just ask.